minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. Minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Well, here we are, everybody, back at it for a brand new week. Welcome to the RP Show. It is episode number 1780 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. A reminder to the viewers, because this is somewhat new, 10 months of it, is Hour 1 Canadian sports, Hour 2 U.S. sports. Hi, that's when we welcome our viewers across Nevada and America on Silver State Sports. RP here, Scruffy, coming up in seconds in Hour 2, our good friend Matt Dubuc, three-time Florida State high school football champion, CFL alum, former Texas Tech Red Raider. Scruffy's with us. I'll just say this, Mitch, before we get out of the gate. Carlos from Indiana wrote in and he said, "Quiet sports weekend." I'm like, not
What?
for me. Yeah.
What?
Okay, well, let us wake you up, Carlos. Let us wake you up with what we call the big story, and it's more serious than blowing the kazoo. We got two. For the U.S. hour, I'll spend more time in the World Cup. But for Hour 1, what's rocked us around here in Canadian sports, and specifically here in the Rectangle, Jaden Dalkey, 30-year-old, 5-year pro linebacker from the Saskatchewan Roughriders, killed Saturday night in a car crash at Lumsden Hill. Mitch, you and I have been through that thousands of times. A lot of our viewers have been through there thousands of times, and Jaden Dalkey did not make it through there, coming home from a bye week for the Saskatchewan Roughriders this weekend. To say that it's like, I just got to relate this to people. There's a lot of Sask people watching and Regina people. There's a lot that aren't. When when they lose one of their players, man, it's like family for them. And I've talked to his teammates and former teammates and coaches. They're all rocked by this. So at this point, I don't know, does it matter when we say he's a hell of a football player, like a fierce linebacker, but a great human being gone, and it's just rocked the football community all across the country, quite frankly.
Yeah, it has. When the Riders put out the tweet yesterday, I happened to be on Twitter at the time, and it was one of those moments where you go, wait a minute, what am I reading here?
Yeah.
Roddy, I can't remember a CFL player being killed in the middle of the regular season. You know, I remember former Rider Joe McKnight, former New York Jets running back, being killed in the offseason in a road rage incident. But I can't remember a player being killed in the middle of a season. And you're right, the CFL, it's a small fraternity. I thought TSN yesterday with the Ottawa-Winnipeg game, I thought they handled that very well. In the moment of silence, when they went to guys like Tommy Neild and AJ
Allen. Yeah, and a Rider
former
fan in the crowd.
teammates.
A fan of the crowd wearing a Rider jersey. Yeah,
I thought that was very well done.
CFL did a good job of this too, and all the teams.
They did. And I know there's a lot of talk out there as to what happened. I heard about 6 or 7 different stories yesterday. I don't know what happened, but all I'm going to say is this. I don't know what was going on. But as you said, we've been on that highway many times. You're coming from Saskatoon, Edmonton to Saskatoon to Regina. You'd have been on that highway in the wrong lane for an awful long time. So I just don't know what happened. And
Well,
we may
I'm going
never
to stop
know the
you.
truth as to what happened.
I'll stop you because my phone's been blown up, too, with people saying what happened. It doesn't matter what happened. So
Right.
I'm not necessarily saying that to you. I'm saying it to them. I don't know. Go to TMZ or go to whatever. You're not going to get that. That doesn't matter. The man lost his life. So that's my take on that.
2 people lost their lives. Let's not forget that there are 2 people that lost their lives.
Very good. Yeah, thank you for that. But that's not something that I'm going to get into. I'm not comfortable getting. I don't know. I'm not poking my nose around. I'm not asking questions.
That, and I agree with you.
Right. So the league is mourning this. His teammates are mourning this. So that kind of came out of the weekend. And I'm sorry to open with a bit of a downer, but it's the big story. That's what we do every day here. Like I say, an hour or two outside of here. It's different big stories. It's the World Cup, and it's a variety of other things. But I'll say this. I mean, Ken's watching in Mississauga. He writes and says, congratulations on the CKRM thing. He said he watched that on Access. Listen, I was sitting at the very next table from the general manager of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Jeremy O'Day, Saturday night. And then when the event was over, he came up and shook my hand. He said something that was really loud in there. I didn't hear what it was, but I can guarantee you he didn't know at that time, about 10 p.m. Saturday night, that his player, his star Canadian linebacker, defensive team captain, was killed in a car. I guaranteed. I don't know when he would have known, but it's one of those things where you say you found out via tweet. I can't remember how I found out. I can't even remember how I found out. That also doesn't necessarily matter either. So I'll say this because people are writing in with all the other things from the weekend, and I get that. Thank you, Mathematician. He says, congratulations on the award this weekend from CKRM. Thank you for all of that. People want to talk about the games. I'll just say this, and I say it respectfully. I don't think anybody's going to cancel me for it. How do you think this affects a football team? You just said you've never heard of it happening in season. Me either. This is incredibly rare.
I don't know. And obviously, I don't know. And you might know the answer to this better than I do from your days with the football team. I know that obviously they had a practice yesterday that was scheduled because they were coming off the bye week. The guys would come into the room, they'd see one another, and obviously one player wasn't there. Did they know beforehand? Did Craig Reynolds or Jeremy O'Day or Corey Mace address them in the room? Practice was canceled. Obviously, it'd be a speech you wouldn't want to give. And yeah, they play Thursday night. And ironically, Rod, it's against Edmonton. And Jaden Dahlke was a big part of minor football in Leduc. And he played for the Edmonton Wildcats. He played for the University of Alberta Golden Bears. When I did Rams games, man, that guy, you could tell that guy was going to be a player. And right. I was happy when he became a member of the Riders. But I just find it ironic that it's Edmonton against Saskatchewan Thursday night, and there won't be a dry eye in the house before the game.
No, and I apologize for pausing you. We only got a minute here. Coach Geisler writes, and he says that happened last year with the Cowboys. That's right, Marshawn Nealon. Great point. Carlos says it'll either rally the team or break the team. And before people get upset about this, it in a way it reminds me of the Humboldt Broncos crash. I was the one that said this series will go on, Humboldt versus Nipawin, or in terms of the season will go on. The series was awarded to Nipawin after the Humboldt Broncos crash. Don't get mad at us for talking about it because, unfortunately, the show does have to go on. So there's the similarity there. I think you were probably thinking about the Humboldt Broncos crash here, too, and the parallels.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So
worst night of my broadcasting
it's something that
career.
needs to be discussed, as difficult as it is to discuss it. We'll be right back. Coach Matt Dubuc coming up in hour 2. Scruffy and I return after this timeout. We're just getting rolling on a Monday here on the RP Show.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the Monday. It's the RP Show, streaming Game Plus, also our own YouTube channel, podcast, WQVZ. Some wonderful tributes are coming into Jaden Dahlke, the 30-year-old CFL linebacker who was killed Saturday night. They're coming in through the YouTube chat and also the text line, 902-518-3033. It's brought to you by Western Dodge. Drive with confidence. Shop Western Dodge. Financing service and selection that you can count on. Scruffy, as we go to Week 7 in the Canadian Football League, and reminding the viewers, Hour 1 is Canadian sports, Hour 2 is U.S. sports. Thank you for respecting that, everybody. When you look at Week 7 in the CFL, here are the scores. From Friday, Edmonton beat BC 19-17. Let me put up this disclaimer. Something kooky happened in every game, or something notable happened in every game. Nathan Rourke got hurt for BC, the face of the league, or at one time he was the quarterback for the Lions, and they lost 19-17. Saturday in Calgary, Montreal beat the Stampeders 38-32, and Davis Alexander set a league record for consecutive pass attempts without a pick. Hamilton beat Toronto 24-23 on, I guess you would say, a missed field goal. Under the old CFL rules, the Argos get a point for missing a field goal. They're going to overtime, but the rules have been changed.
Thank God for that rule change.
And, yeah, buddy. And Sunday night, Winnipeg beat Ottawa 36-34 in I don't know how many overtimes. Officially, they're saying 3, but I actually think it was 4. And I guess the officials...
Yeah, I think it was 4.
Yeah, if it's like it says on the Score app, triple overtime, but I think it went to 4 overtimes, and that was awesome, too. So I'll say before I turn this over to you, Milt Stiegel, Uncle Milty, is saying, thank God, like you just said, they changed this rule, so the guy missed a field goal, the game's over, you lose. And then you got Peter Dykowski from the CFLPA, at one time Canada's smartest man. He says a lot of weird, dumb things.
Which doesn't really tell you a lot about Canada as a nation if he's our smartest man.
Oops. I know, right? He's saying, what a ruination of the beautiful Canadian football game that they don't have the rouge in this instance. And I'm like, I'm kind of siding with Uncle Milty on this one. I really am. What an ending. So that's my take on that. On all of week 7 and the kookiness. How about you? Where are you at?
Well, certainly didn't go the way I thought it was going to because I was 1-3. Montreal was the only one that I took, and boy, I thought Montreal was going to gas that game. I had Winnipeg to win, but Ottawa covered. So, and I don't, straight up, I guess I took Winnipeg. But, yeah, it was a crazy weekend. And I think a lot of it was, the fact, was Edmonton deserving of their win when Nathan Rourke went down? Chase Bryce threw 4 interceptions. But that was Thursday. I think the big story obviously was, or Friday. I think the big story obviously was the Haralahu missed kick. That's the first time that's happened since the rule change came into effect. Roddy, you've known me for years. We've had debates on this on the Sports Cage when we kicked it off. I've been a guy that has hated the single point. I think it's one of the things that makes the CFL look really, really bad and amateurish. I don't know how you can reward a team for failure. A couple of years ago when Haralahu kicked a field goal that missed and it went out the back end and they beat the Riders, they got a point for something that never should have happened. Anybody that thinks that you deserve a point for a missed field goal that goes through the end zone, I'm sorry, man, you're not a fan of football, you're not a fan of the CFL. Because that's just dumb. It's beyond dumb.
Okay.
Stuart Johnston changed that, and good for Stuart Johnston.
So it's been a rule for like 100 years. Have you realized yet, Mitch? You got a few more years on me, but not many more than me. Have you realized yet that some people just like to argue? They get horny over just argue. They like it.
Oh,
and I
really?
Right, and I don't. Right. And I look at Ray Elgard, who was on this show. Initially, he didn't like the changes, but then he came back and said he did like the changes. But we talked about this specific thing that happened Saturday night, and Elgard goes, well, I don't think it's really rewarding failure by having the point. What would you call it? You miss the field goal, and you get a point. That makes no sense. It's what you're saying, Mitch. So the game ended the way that it was supposed to. So, I mean, it's wild and wacky. Trey Ford of Niagara Falls gets the win, quarterbacking Hamilton. It just seems like football's alive and well in Southern Ontario. Wild ending to the game. And to be honest, that was going to be my poll question today. Do you like the changing of the rules now? But I have what I think is a more appropriate poll question. It's coming up in one of our things here. But so, and then the other, David writes in from Winnipeg, David number 2. He says, happy Monday. I absolutely love the new CFL overtime 2-point conversation rule. Way better conversion rule has auto-corrected to conversation. Way better than a tie. I was on the edge of my seat during the Bombers and Red Blacks game. Wow, that was good. See, I'm with the guy. That was fun.
See,
Yeah.
I like the 2-point conversion thing. I like that after a certain point. What I don't like about CFL overtime is where you put the ball to start the overtime. Roddy, again, you and I have had this discussion many times. I would like to see the ball put at midfield so that you have to get at least 10 yards to have a decent shot at a field goal. Now, next year, when they move the goalpost back, yeah, you could start the overtime, let's say, at the 40-yard line, at the opposition 40. But I just think it's too easy when you put the ball where you put it to start overtime to get points. And if the first team fails, whether it be an interception, a fumble, they don't convert on third down, the other team can just run it into the line twice and kick a field goal and get out. And I just don't think that's right. I think you need to get at least 10 to 15 yards in overtime to have a legitimate chance at scoring. But the 2-point conversion thing, I love.
I do too. It was like a shootout. Bang, bang, bang. It was going fast. It was all great. From what I understand, if this is true, I mean, we're just bombarded with info and video. So if this is true, the coach of Ottawa, Ryan Dinwiddie, was upset after that. I think that they were supposed to flip possessions in overtime, or when they went to the 2 points and they didn't. The refs just, you know what I mean? Ottawa had the ball, then Winnipeg had the ball, then Ottawa had the ball again, and you know what I mean? And it was I'm supposed to rotate.
No, didn't it go Ottawa, Winnipeg, Ottawa?
When they were scrimmaging from the 35, yes, but when they went to the 2-point converts, it just stayed the same. I think it did. Either way, they'll sort that out. The fact of the matter is, you didn't lose.
Look at that, Rod.
Ottawa didn't lose because of the refs screwing up or anything else. I mean, there are, and by the way, Matt Dubuc is going to come. I get so smothered when talking about CFL rules. I know some people really love it. I don't. Dubuc wants to talk about that next hour. He loves Jake Mayer, and clearly so does Ryan Dinwiddie. But I'm like, the guy was throwing the ball out of bounds into the end zone. Like, I don't understand the love affair for this guy in Ottawa.
Well, he had Eugene Lewis on a touchdown, and how he missed that.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll never know. Yeah.
Yeah, and he threw it into the out of bounds.
There are a lot of other quarterbacks in this league that make that throw. Backup quarterbacks that make that throw. He didn't.
Right. So, and you've had enough years in the league, you got to make that throw. By the way, from the audience, it's actually a good segue here. From the account WHL 1986, he says, with all due respect to Scruffy's column, do you actually believe the most outstanding player race involves more than one player? It's Rankins to lose.
Is it?
Okay, there's your answer, WHL 1986. We're only a third of the way through the season, so to sit and argue about that is as useless as talking about who's going to win the Conn Smythe Trophy going 3 rounds for the Stanley Cup playoffs, because nobody had Jordan Stahl winning it. After 3 rounds, they didn't end up winning it. So to sit and talk about who's going to be the MVP a third of the way into the season is a waste of my time.
It's like power rankings, Rod. Let's have our power rankings at the end of November, because those are the only ones that matter.
I'm not getting into somebody has a problem with your opinion on the MOP a third. I'm not. No. You guys, take it outside. Warm up brought to you by Quick Six. The Quick Six Show topics brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show, and the BC Lions. When it comes to sports, trips, group travel, or your next great getaway, trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. Contact Neil Chark with Uniglobe Carefree Travel. Point 1 was Jaden Dolkey passing away. Point 2, CFL. Point 3, British Open. I'll get into it more next hour, but 39-year-old Ryan Fox closed with 4 birdies over his last 6 holes to win it. More later. Point 4 is this. Chicago Blackhawks star Connor Bedard has agreed to a $75 million 5-year contract, completing a major offseason goal for the team. The story from the Associated Press, Mitch, says the rebuilding Blackhawks announced the deal on Saturday, 1 day after Connor turned 21. I would have inserted into the copy, the perennially rebuilding Blackhawks announced the deal on Saturday. The poll question today is, will they win a Stanley Cup in Connor's time? For EMJ Marketing Elite Speakers Bureau. What are you voting for that?
Well, if we're just looking at 5 years, Rod, which is what he signed for.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I thought was a little light. I thought he'd be like 6 or 7 years. But whatever, that's fine. I know people in Vancouver are happy to see that. I don't think they win under this current contract for Connor Bedard. Will they be close? They'll be a playoff team. But I don't think they're going to win a Stanley Cup in the next 5 years. Because there are just a lot of good teams out there. And you know that everything has to go right. Did you know, Roger, that Connor Bedard and Bowen Byram are now going to make more money than Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard this year?
Oh, I'm highly aware of that.
Tell me how that makes sense.
I put that in my weekend newsletter, Monday Morning Goalie column. We need to stop trying to make it make sense because you're not going to be able to sleep. It doesn't make sense. Leo Carlson, Kirill Kaprizov, Connor Bedard are the 3 highest paid players in the NHL. Where's McDavid? Where's McKinnon? And I understand Crosby's taking less money, but I'm with you. I thought it was a little light as well. I mean, maybe you left some money on the table to make the team better in other areas.
Well, that's
really
what I've
not
heard,
sure.
But and that's what I wondered, but I haven't heard anything that says that. So I don't know.
Well, it's actually shocking because Saturday night at the banquet, the CKRM banquet, I sat with 2 close friends of the Bedard family, and shockingly, this never came up at all. I guess we were there for other reasons. Like Kevin Gallant's son, Matthew, played with Bedard all the way up through Bantam to the Dub. Matthew Gallant. Yeah, Kevin Gallant. He's very close to the Bedard family. So, yeah, we don't understand it. I would just say good for Connor, and I can tell you that the Bedard family, I think, is very happy to have this behind them. But to move on to another thing, I haven't talked to you since this. I was on the radio in Texas last week, and they asked me about Stanley Cup favorites. I'm like, I don't really know. I haven't thought about it. Let me look it up. So I went to FanDuel, and I saw it's the usual suspects at the top: Florida, Carolina, Vegas, whatever. At the bottom, Calgary's 31, Vancouver's 32. And I'm not even saying they're wrong. I just never stopped to think about it. Those two teams are supposed to meet in the last game ever in the Saddledome next April. Can you imagine if it means nothing? Which it probably will. What an insult to the Saddledome.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how it is that the Edmonton Oilers are not in Calgary to finish it off like they were to start it off when the Saddledome opened. I know the Oilers are going to be in Calgary twice in March and going to try to get to one of those games, because I think my Connor McDavid jersey needs to be worn at the Saddledome one last time. Needs to be worn at Mosaic Stadium one time, too.
By the way, to the audience, I just love this.
You know where I'm going on that,
I feel like... No, I know. We'll come back after the break and get into that. John Ohm writes, says, any thoughts on the new CFL overtime format? I love it. That's like a guy coming in for... He's like coming into coffee an hour late. I just hear the doorbell in the coffee shop. Ring-a-ling. Sitting down. What do you think, guys? We've been talking about it for the last hour. Rewind. I love it. And I love John. To me, I'm not upset about it. It's just hilarious. Would you like us to restart for you? Because you showed up not on time.
John, go back to the start. Rewind.
Kim writes, hang on. We got great comments coming in. It's a great Monday start to the week. We'll be right back to the Golden Ticket Sports Center. It's the RP Show. Yeah.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca. Or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Dean, Brody, and the Recklaws teaming up for the Hometown Heroes Tour.
If there's work, you know I'm gonna work.
Live at Temple Garden Center, November 9th.
Can't blame nobody else. I can't help myself.
Two of Canada's biggest country acts. One stage, one unforgettable night on the Hometown Heroes Tour. Tickets on sale now at the Temple Garden Center box office or online at saskpix.ca.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. When we talk hockey, it's brought to you by the Mad Greek Eatery. Are you craving the famous Greek ribs everybody's raving about? Well, you can get yours any day at the Mad Greek Eatery. Dine in, pick up, or order online at themadgreekeatery.com. Some people are testy today in the audience. They're in a bad mood, got out of the wrong side of the bed, I guess. I'm going to ask you to go outside, check your attitude, come back in with a new one, please, and thank you. So we've gotten through all the quick six. Well, not all of them, but most of them. Number one was the passing of Jaden Dahlke. Number two, CFL Week 7, which I'm going to come back on right away. Number 3, British Open. Number 4, NHL, Connor Bedard re-signing. I have more. Point 5 is MLB. We'll get to that later when Scruffy adjourns, because the audience wants to participate. And there are some people that are in good moods today. Regarding Ottawa losing, Glenn in Medicine Hat says maybe if Ottawa doesn't give up 17 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, well, there's that. Kim says, she goes, as a Stamps fan, I can attest to the fact that Jake Maier will never be a winning CFL quarterback. Regarding will the Blackhawks win a Stanley Cup in Bedard's time, Jason and Red Deer updates that 67% say no. And here's one, Mitch. I guess we should probably spend more time on this. Bill from Toronto, he says, the Argos field goal holder had less than 1 week to get the timing down. I've been a CFL fan since the 1970s and have and still do like the Rouge rule. Should have never been changed. I'll just say, yeah, because your team lost. Do people understand that people don't like it when the rules don't benefit their team? Am I wrong in saying that's why he's upset? Go ahead.
Well, of course. The command center is the worst for the Rider fans until it goes to them, until they do favor. Well, then, great job of the command center. And I'm not just picking on Rider fans when I say that. I'm picking on fans of every team. But no, you can sit there, and this is the one thing that sort of bothers me, is that people always go, what do you mean you're not a fan of the Riders? You're from here. You covered the team. You have to be. No, I don't. I want to see the team do well, but I'm a fan of the CFL. And the CFL is having its problems. One of the things that is a problem for the CFL was the fact that you were rewarding teams for failure. And that is now no longer the case. It's same like a punt single. You want to try and hem a team in by kicking it out of bounds inside the 15-yard line. If it bounces into the end zone, why should you get a single point for that? That's not the object of the play. It's like, oh, you know what? It's third down from the 5. We just threw an incompletion, but hey, we're going to give you 2 points for that because you got it into the end zone. That's
by the way, now that you're talking about that, remind me of your good friend John Ryan with that. But by the one of the guys that needs to check his attitude, he's a daily viewer. I love him, but Kirk in Toronto, I don't know what his deal is. He goes, it's not rewarding failure. It's rewarding field position. Look it up. You two should know this. Kirk, watch your mouth. But remember when John Ryan was punting for the Riders and just hammering the ball, just hammering it. Every time he got a hold of it, he was punting as far as this guy that led the NFL in punts inside the 10 every year pretty much. He can put the ball wherever he wants. Right, but he was hammering it through the end zone, and Craig Dickinson was, I believe, telling him to do what you're saying. Can you land it inside the 10? They were having an argument. JR admitted to me years later that he wasn't listening to Dickey. He was just I don't know why. He wanted to lead the league, I think, in rules or set some sort of damn record. I think that's part of why he left.
Well, it's funny when you talk about JR. Do you remember? And it was our good friend Warren Woods who was doing the Rams play-by-play at that time. The Rams were at a playoff game in Calgary. And they had the ball at the Calgary 25-yard line on the last play of the game. And instead of kicking a field goal, they had John Ryan come out to punt it from the 32-yard line.
Sure do. Yep.
And I remember Warren Woods, and I forget if the games were on CJME or CKRM at that time, and Warren was obviously doing his thing at Global and was just sort of freelancing. But I remember listening to that game, and Warren going, the Calgary returner is standing on the end line, hoping that he gets a chance to return this. Here's the snap. And the Regina Rams are going to win this because as soon as Johnny hit it, you knew it was going to hit the scoreboard at the back of the end zone in Calgary. And it's like,
100%.
That's the way you want to win a football game?
But you do anything to win. Yeah, I mean, that's you do anything to win within the rules.
You win the game in my mind, and it was the mind of any others too, including some guys on the Rams who said, we'll never admit to this publicly, but we took advantage of the rules.
Of course. That's what you, as a coach, you're going to. You know, and I got to say this because there's a lot of great comments coming in from the viewers, and I love the fact that they come here to talk CFL in the summer because nobody is at this time, Scruffy. But I'm watching the games going, the games are so great. And frankly, I do think TSN does a great job. You mentioned it off the top of the broadcast, showing the Ryder fan in TD Place Stadium and Jaden Dahlke's former teammates on other teams now. You know, they do a great job. I'm going, this league is so great. The games are so awesome. Why is it financially failing? Because don't tell me that it's not. I don't get it. It's not like they're not on television. It's not like they're on not on national television in prime time. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all summer. It makes no sense to me why it's not more popular because I don't get it. I watch every game, so I guess I'm not the guy to ask.
Roddy, we've had this discussion many times, both on this show.
So you don't have an answer?
No, I think there's a whole lot of reasons for it, Rod. And I think at the end of the day, the CFL is seen by the older demographic as the CFL grew up with. The younger demographic, there are a lot more options out there for them. You know, 20 years ago, you didn't have this thing, as I show my phone.
Yep.
You didn't have a laptop. You didn't have YouTube. You didn't have... You know, there are so many things at your disposal now that takes your attention away from the CFL. And Roddy, we all know. And how many years did we do CFL games together, both as partners working together and you doing the play-by-play and me working for a rival station? Like, Ryder game day at Taylor Field was sacred.
We need more time.
We need more time. It's like that anymore.
Well, it's not, but that's not the point. It's not sacred anymore. Why was that lost? We are where we are. And, you know, my point is this. I'm sitting there watching the World Cup yesterday. Full disclosure, it's 0-0, 65 minutes in. I'm like, what the F am I doing, man? I'm not entertained. I'm out. And I switched over to the Blue Jays game.
But were you entertained watching France and England on Saturday?
I didn't even watch it. Why would I watch the bronze medal game? Ricky Bobby, if you're not first, you're last, man. I'm going to watch the final.
I know, but at least that was sort of somewhat interesting. But you're right.
No, but I mean, listen.
Terrible.
It was awful. I'm switched over to the Blue Jays game. Again, it was 0-0, but at least it was Trey Savage. It was interesting. And then I had to watch for the halftime. Bieber and the Darren DuPont lookalike. I'll get about this after and Madonna. I enjoyed that. And, of course, the headline this morning.
Why?
Viewers viewers upset about Bieber perform. Of course they are, because people are always upset about everything. My point is, it's the hype that they're missing. The World Cup, we didn't give a rat's ass about soccer our whole life. So kids do now? It's a human nature thing. That's not entertaining. Don't tell me that's entertaining. It's not. Yet millions of people bought tickets to go. What, you think it is?
Well, okay, and that's fair. And that you're more than entitled to your opinion. But, Roddy, just after the Super Bowl, on comes the Daytona 500 and NASCAR starts. I wouldn't want to watch a lap of NASCAR. Can you turn left, please? At some point. Like,
you
I
kind of
have
need
no
to gotta
interest
go.
in NASCAR.
It's kind of like
There
the
are just
NBA.
some
Once you go,
sports-
it's different.
Right.
Yeah,
Like, as I said, like, how many NBA games do I watch? Zero. Why? Because it doesn't
buddy.
interest me. But yet NCAA basketball does. Like, it's to each their own.
Well, that's a very
and
good
there are some
point.
people out there that fan the CFL. That's fine. Other people there say they won't watch the NFL. That's fine. As long as I'm watching it and I'm enjoying it, that's all that matters, right?
That's a fact. That's a fact. But that's why I said all four CFL games this weekend had something kooky or notable go on. And that's what I love about it. See you tomorrow, Mitch. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. I did not, trust me, I did not mean to start any kind of light a fuse here, a firecracker, but that's kind of what it's turned into, but that's okay. That's why you tune every day. So let me just walk this back for a second. And Scruffy's adjourned, so I can handle this for the next 40 minutes till Matt Dubuc shows up. We're going to go through this all over again. I'll preface this. I just met Matt Dubuc when I moved to Florida, and I thank Chris Jones and Mike Davis for lining that up. And then we text each other throughout all these CFL games, and I feel like saying to Dubuc, and I'm actually going to say that to him when he comes on the air, what did you do before you knew me? Because I can't imagine there's anybody else in Florida that wants to sit and talk about CFL games like he and I do through the whole game, but that is what it is. But some of the other topics that I brought up here, because it's not just about the CFL, I said Vancouver and Calgary are, according to FanDuel, going to be the worst teams in the NHL this season. And it just sucks that the last game in the Saddledome features the two worst teams in the NHL. If we believe they're going to be the worst teams, I mean, I just never really stopped to think about it, but I'm like, oh my God. And Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in, he goes, I don't think it's a big deal. It's about the Flames, the Saddledome, and the fans, not the Edmonton Oilers, who will ever remember the Flames' final opponent in the Saddledome anyways. And he goes on later to say, does anybody remember the last opponent for the Montreal Canadiens in the form? Yeah, the Dallas Stars. I watched it. Andy Moog started in goal. So it is a big deal. But it's not any, I'm sure when they were drawing up the schedule, they didn't think, oh, FanDuel might make these the last two teams. Like maybe they'll be the greatest teams. But I don't think so. I'm not saying you could have prevented it. I'm just saying that it sucks. Jason in Red Deer regarding Connor Bedard's contract, he goes, I don't see why Bedard's contract is light. He nor the Hawks have done anything spectacular. It's not about that. It's not about that. Leo, I talked to his Blackhawks staffer when Leo Carlson got his $18 million, and the guy was like, oh, great, now we got to give Bedard whatever he wants. Because he had better numbers than Leo Carlson. That's usually how it goes. That's why we're all shocked. He took $3 million per season less over a 5-year deal. That's a lot of money off the table that Connor left, given the fact that statistically he's a better player. That's why we're all questioning it. Regarding the end of the Ottawa-Winnipeg game, like I say, every game had something kooky in it. David number 1 in Winnipeg writes in and he says, O'Shea has rarely went for 2-point converts, and last night's game proved he should go for it more than he has. I mean, I guess that for a certain, I guess, is it a generational thing? I don't know. For us, the CFL means a lot. I mean, you look at Janice when she comes on, or even when we talk off the air, the CFL means so much to her, and it means so much to me. And she's friends with a lot of the former Rough Riders players' wives were her friends growing up. It just means so much to us. Why does it not mean as much to people as it does to us? I don't know. Glenn in Medicine Hat says, I thought the Golf Channel coverage of the Open Championship last week came very close to mimicking the paparazzi in National Enquirer. Ugh. Well, good for you, because if there's one thing I can guarantee you, death, taxes, Fajardo winning, and me not watching golf coverage. I mean, God bless the people that try to weasel it in there, but guys, I'm not biting. And I'm not saying you are, Glenn. It's just, I'll take your word for it. So those are some of the things from the text line, 902-518-3033 for Western Dodge. Wayne in BC says, I have to agree with Scruffy. There are a lot of so-called sports that I can't watch, including soccer, but that's just me. I mean, I'm an open-minded person, and I used to be probably the most closed-minded person you ever met. That was one of the big changes in me, that if you knew me before, you would recognize, and if you didn't know me before, you wouldn't, and that's also fine. But I'm sitting there yesterday going, I'm going to watch this thing. We've been following this World Cup through the whole thing, and I really enjoyed Tom Cruise at the start and the opening ceremonies because I really love Tom Cruise. Top Gun, Jerry Maguire, all the right moves. I loved Tom Cruise. That was great. And then the game started. They get to halftime, and the guys on TSN say, Argentina doesn't have a shot on goal. So I hung around for the halftime, and I watched Bieber. And I thought that was interesting because they had Ted Lasso on there, the Darren DuPont lookalike, and he brought Bieber out. And I'm like, this is how far we've come with technology. We used to have fake scenes made to look real. This was a real scene that looked fake. I'm like, is he actually there? Bringing Bieber out, and that was good, and Madonna was good. I actually enjoyed it, and people are bitching about that. But Bieber brought the vibe down. I'm like, oh my God. And then we just got into the second half, and nothing was changing. I'm like, I'm not entertained. I can't do this anymore. I don't like it. Click over to the Blue Jays. David number 2 in Toronto, David number 2 from Winnipeg writes in. He says, regarding Kirk and Toronto's comments, he lives in Toronto, where common sense isn't very common. All I'm saying is don't come at Mitch. And when somebody says you should know this, I will break your finger off. Tony in Saskatoon writes in, says, good morning, Rod and Mitch. I thought I'd check in after my round in Rosthern this morning. Heart is a little heavy today after the tragic events of Saturday night. I love the CFL rules. The league has been on fire this season. And he says, looking forward to Rod's thoughts on the British Open later on. Signed, Tony from Saskatoon. I guess you're trying to get me going, Tony, or something. I'll tell you that I didn't watch a millisecond of the British Open. So Brent's watching in Wellington, Florida, says, RJ says, ESP. Like, I mean, I get what you're trying to do. 902-518-3033. Back on point here. Because let me get, what should I do? Should I finish off strong where we were? Because this is what I was going to say about the Blue Jays. 0.5. Even the usually optimistic John Schneider was defeated by his Toronto Blue Jays offensive struggles in their first series since the All-Star break. The Jays managed only 5 runs and 16 hits in their 3-game set against the White Sox, as Toronto was blanked for the 7th time this season, 3-0. That's what I saw on Sunday, but at least the broadcasters made it good. My only note on this, I'll get into more of it next hour. Been doing a little poking around on MLB trade deadline day, which is August 3rd, and the Blue Jays, according to USA Today, aren't expected to do anything. Great. Let's talk about stuff that actually matters. They unveiled a Joe Carter statue on Saturday at Rogers Center. Awesome. And then they tell me that they completely snubbed Roberto Alomar. Thank God we're coming up close on a break here, because what a time to be alive. I will say this. Me going into that Hall of Fame Saturday night for the radio station that fired me 7 years ago shocked the hell out of me. I haven't really talked about it on the air. Let's put it this way. The sports doctor wrote me yesterday. You all know him. He's on this show a lot. In Winnipeg. Great friend of mine. He goes, wow, surprising they did that, given the way it ended. I'm like, you and me both, Doc. So I would have sat around with Ron Duguay, literally, and Theo Fleury, and as exiled people, and consoled them. And Robbie Alomar is the latest. If you're following that story at all, I mean, I have no affiliation to Rogers nor the Blue Jays because I don't really care. But they are saying that this thing on Robbie Alomar was trumped up by MLB and the Blue Jays, and it's not real, and he's being unfairly maligned. And I'm like, I can talk to Robbie about that if you'd like. But then they end up, for me, ending the stalemate. And then I guess maybe that's the further thing, because I said to Duguay, you might want to bury the hatchet, Dukes. Because I was sitting in Madison Square Garden in March at a Rangers game against the Florida Panthers. I'm like, they showed you twice in the opening video, Dukes. I don't think it's as bad as you think it is. He writes me back. He goes, I find that hard to believe. Well, I'm not going to lie to you. And then the thing with Theo, I mean, they tell me in Calgary that eventually they're going to retire his number. I can't speak for the Hockey Hall of Fame, but they tell me in Calgary they're going to retire Theo's number eventually. Well, eventually doesn't mean a whole lot. It's like my good friend Scott Schultz going into the Riders Plaza. Not that he was ever exiled, but they made him wait for a long time. And I said to him, Schultz, they tell me that you're going in. And he goes, when? I'm going to be hit by a bus tomorrow. So now I'm sitting here counseling my sports buddies going, just be patient, just be patient, just be patient. Or maybe we got to wait till you die, like Pete Rose. Anyways, because I'll tell you, it's a hell of a nice feeling, and it was a really nice night Saturday night. I know a lot of the viewers wrote in here earlier about that. I didn't really want to address it when Scruffy was on, because Scruffy left the play. Scruffy was fired there. You very rarely leave on your own terms in this business. So I didn't really want to bring it up around Mitch. You know what I'm saying? Arlen Bruce writes in, he says, I believe the players, coaches, and organizations are all looking forward to the new rules to see which players can adjust and still be successful. Let's see what happens in the year 2030. Can you imagine what the CFL will look like by then in terms of the rules? That's what we've been talking a lot. And disclaimer, it is the Rod Pedersen Show. It ain't Sports Center. People need to be reminded of that when they get off traffic or off topic. I don't like golf, so I'm not going to talk about it. So you could take the golf and shove it. And Dubuc is coming up next hour. What do we love? Football at all levels. But he just really wants to talk about the CFL. What happened? I'm like, why not? NFL's not playing. College is still quite a ways away. Which, oh my God, who was I with this weekend? He was like, somebody I met, he was like, what's the closest college football team to you? I'm like, FAU. It's a mile from my house. Oh, his eyes glazed over. Like, for the people that are into it, my God, it's just be nice to when you can be into a few other things as well. Nothing is my whole life, and I like that. Hour 2 is coming up. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Well, I guess we're going to open with a disclaimer. We got some sizzle going today. It's hour 2 of the RP Show, but hour 1 on Silver State Sports. We welcome our viewers across the state of Nevada and the beautiful city of Sin City. Coming up today for Prairie Panels, our guest is Matt Dubuc. We're going to talk all levels of football. The guy's been involved in all levels of football. 3-time Florida State champion, Canadian Football League alum. It's just he's all lathered up about coming out of the weekend. We got college football coming up. So for the football fans, I actually have that written down as my note here. Somebody wrote, World Cup's over, NHL's over, NBA's over, it's football season. I'm like, well, there's other sports, and that's what we do every day. We might as well jump into it right now. But I will tell you, this is the warm-up. It's brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show, and the CFL's BC Lions. When it comes to sports trips, group travel, or your next great getaway, trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. Contact Neil Jark with Uniglobe Carefree Travel. Why am I smiling? Because I'm like, I'm not going to let them get me off my game. I'm not going to let them on a Monday ruin my week. And a lot of them are just doing it for fun. But it's only Monday. So for those that just tuned in, what we do here every day is we say hour 1 is the Canadian hour, hour 2 is the U.S. hour, and we sprinkle in a little bit of Canadian sports because that's where a lot of us are from on this show. So we split the big story in hour 1 is a big story around here. 5-year veteran Canadian Football League linebacker, 30-year-old Jaden Dalkey was killed in a car crash Saturday night. We dedicated a lot of hour 1 to that. But it's huge news across the Canadian Football League. Saskatchewan Roughriders linebacker coming home on a bye week. And a very, very, very sad story. The whole league's in mourning, but specifically my home province. The other big story, frankly, around the world, Spain is back atop the soccer world for a second time after Ferran Torres' first goal of this year's World Cup, unquestionably the goal of his life, gave his country a 1-0 win over now dethroned champion Argentina in the final on Sunday. It is what it is. This was one of the things that I was getting worked up about. In that, are we happy that soccer is over? I feel like we can say that we're happy that it's over. I got on the train. We hosted the live stream for the European Crypto Casino BC game. Went over very well. It is what it is. Back to regularly scheduled programming. There were 2 things coming out of this as far as our countries are concerned. President Donald J. Trump said that he is very proud of the job the United States did as host, and should be, because I kind of sat back and thought about literally millions of fans bought tickets to go, let alone the multi-millions that watch these games on TV. And then the other thing was that Canada has been deemed a soccer nation because we hosted games in Toronto and Vancouver. That's across the Canadian sports headlines. And I'm like, are we? I guess we are. We got into round 2 of the playoffs. Like, I don't even know the terminology of what they say in soccer. And I'm just sitting here going, will it ever be one of the major 4 on this continent? Like bumping out NFL, MLB, NBA, or NHL? Or are we going to have to call it the Big 5? Is soccer going to become the Big 5? Because it's not right now. And I don't know that in my lifetime that it will be. But I sat there. I watched Tom Cruise off the start in the pregame, and I loved it because I love Tom Cruise. I watched the halftime show, and I love Madonna, and I love Justin Bieber. I got a lot of love in me. I don't have any hate anymore. I saw people bitching about that, and I'm like, oh, that's standard. They're going to bitch. But then we got it in the second half. There was still no scoring. Argentina didn't have a shot on goal. And I'm like, this isn't entertaining. Stop gaslighting me that it is. Click. I'm flipping over to the Blue Jays. And we're flipping over to point two, which, disclaimer again, I mean, the U.S. people that are watching really love football. That's why they're here. And I've talked about this. With the UFL done, and the NFL and college not on the field right now, a lot of people have turned their attention to the Canadian Football League games. And just so you know, it's point two in both hours, the Canadian hour and the U.S. hour. Something zany, wacky, or noteworthy happened in every game, and that's the Canadian Football League for you. It was a typical thing Friday night. Edmonton and their star quarterback, Nevada Wolfpack great Cody Fajardo, they won, and I picked them to win 19-17 over the BC Lions. And yes, BC lost their star quarterback, the face of the league, Nathan Rourke, early in the game. That's not Cody's fault, but Edmonton beat BC 19-17. Then on Saturday, Portland State grad in a doubleheader. The first game, Montreal beat Calgary 38-32 to sweep a doubleheader. Sweep a home and home. But Davis Alexander, who I feel is the greatest player in the league, set a league record for most consecutive pass attempts without throwing an interception. I think what is he at? He's over 330 straight pass attempts without throwing a pick. It was a notable game. They had their way with Calgary. It wasn't much of a game. And then later in the night, the Hamilton Tiger Cats beat Toronto 24-23. And this is hotly contested. And again, this is the disclaimer that we're going to be getting into it with Dubuc next segment for Prairie Panels. We used to have a rule in the CFL for 100 years. Any football fan would know it. We called it the Rouge. And basically, if you down the ball in the end zone, you get a point by a variety of ways. But one of the ways was if you miss a field goal, but it lands in the end zone and is down there, you get a point. They took that rule out. So the Toronto kicker on the last play of the game missed the field goal, and his team loses 24-23. Great heroics and theatrics. He's rolling around on the ground like he'd been shot. Under the old rules, it's 24-23. You get a point for that. We're going overtime. Not anymore. The game ends. Big fight over that. Should we have left the rule the same, or is this better? I think this is better. And then we go to Sunday. It went to quadruple overtime, which is, by the way, another thing that nobody's really quite sure. How many overtimes was this? I was watching it. I'm pretty sure they went 4 overtimes, but the Score app, which is the greatest app of all sports, the GOAT of sports apps. One of the greatest things on my resume is that I worked there for 4 years, the Score Sports Network. So great. But it had Winnipeg beat Ottawa 36-34 in triple overtime. I'm like, guys, I think it was quadruple overtime. But here's the rule in the CFL. Each team in overtime gets the ball at the 35, the plus 35-yard line, and you have 2 possessions, and if it doesn't end, this is new, they now go to consecutive 2-point convert attempts back and forth. It's sort of like double barrel in a way. It's just whack, whack, whack. And the viewers are writing in here going, oh, my God, I was on the edge of my seat. It was hella exciting. And again, Winnipeg won 36-34. Ottawa is now 0-6. And it was just quite a way to end a football game and end week 7. And everybody's talking about it coming into a brand new week. And so Dubuc said, he goes, lots to talk about there on Monday. So he's coming on next. By the way, we got a great week of guests coming up. Blanking now. NFL, CFL alum Jorgen Hughes is going to be with me, which reminds me, I talked about Jaden Dahlke, the linebacker, 5-year veteran, being killed Saturday. Jordan's having a really tough time with it. Jorgen was a long snapper for the St. Louis Rams. You want to know when? When Michael Sam played there. Notable by that. I remember talking to Jorgen Hughes about that whole, if you don't, look it up. And then he was the longest serving Saskatchewan Rough Rider until he retired this offseason. And I just love him. And he watches our show. Well, did on Game Plus TV twice a day because he said, Rod, you're always on in our house. Thank you, Jorgen. NFL, CFL alum coming on Thursday. Darcy from Grand Prairie, Alberta writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, I'd like to boot Game Plus for not having the RP show on all summer. I'd like to salute the CFL for the OT rules change. And also, congratulations, RP, on the Hall of Fame. So, They took the high road. I'm taking the high road. I went into the Hall of Fame of the radio station. Why radio stations don't have a Hall of Fame? They do when they've been around for 100 years, and that's what they did. So they put me in that. It was a messy split 7 years ago, but it's all good now. It was fantastic Saturday night. And I said I didn't really want to talk about it a lot, hour one, because Scruffy worked there, and he was fired too, and he just wasn't there long enough to go into the Hall of Fame, but I don't think he wanted to talk about it. As a matter of fact, I know he didn't want to talk about it. But it was streamed by Access Television. So Ken in Mississauga wrote in, and I'm not sure where it is. I lost it. He said something along the lines of, it was just great to watch and live in the past for one night. I'm like, and that's the thing, is I pay thousands of dollars to my coach, Lisa, to not live in the past. So that's why I was like, let's just do this and we'll all get on with our lives. That's kind of what happened. And I just want to thank them for the acknowledgement, because I do love them. And deep down, I think they love me. It just, things happen. Regarding the halftime show of the World Cup, my friend Brent in Wellington, Florida writes in, he says, oh, my son had no idea who the halftime performers were. LOL. But that's the thing. You understand, we're never going to please everybody, right? Do you think a 10-year-old is going to care to see Madonna or Justin Bieber even? Who would he like? Who would he like? I could tell you, like, Elmo? I don't know. We're not going to please everybody. Do you all remember when Madonna was arrested in Toronto in the 90s? Do you remember this, producer Corey? Because of the wardrobe she wore? Oh, you remember that? Google it. Madonna having do you know her last name, by the way, everybody? Do you know her last name? Producer Corey? It's Madonna. No, nobody does. It's Madonna Ciccone. She did a sexually suggestive performance, which all of hers were back in the day in Toronto. She walked off the stage and they put handcuffs on her. We've come a long way. Or have we? That's kind of the question there. To be honest, come on, score one for us of that's 50 plus going, yeah! That they had halftime acts that we at least knew of. I mean, come on. Bitched about Bad Bunny for the Super Bowl. Nobody knew who this guy was. It ended up being pretty good, too. Oh, here it is. Ken in Mississauga, Ontario says, for that one night, it was, you got to live in the past. Sure, but that's not what I try to do. So, Kim writes in from Calgary. She says, I'm so grateful for you and your show, Rod. You are filling the huge void left by Rogers, who shut down the Fan 960 here in Calgary. I felt like I got a 111 Eastern. Please, if you need to live somewhere, live in the future. Just don't live in the. Like I say, try real hard to not live in the past. It ain't easy. But I had so many stories about that radio station going off the air, Kim. And since you're sitting there in Calgary, I had a deal worked out. I can tell you this right now. Why the hell not? It feels like a Friday, doesn't it? But I left that rider job within a week in Saskatchewan. I had a deal worked out to go to Calgary, Fan 960, and host a show 10 a.m. to noon, same slot. It was going to be the Rod Pedersen Show. And we were just about to sign off on it. And the manager of the radio station said, welcome to Calgary. And by the way, when you come here, you're going to have to do a lot of digging out of a hole and doing a lot of butt kissing around here because a lot of people don't like you here. And I'm like, say what? He goes, yeah, you're not going to be starting it even. You're going to be starting in a hole because a lot of people here don't like you in Calgary. I said, have a nice day. We're done. I'm not going anywhere that I'm not liked. And that was the end of that. That's my Fan 960 story. So anyways, we can still talk Calgary sports and all the rest, but it is what it is. Jeff, the Stamps fan watching in Calgary regarding Madonna, says she probably laughed all the way to the bank. Right? What do Matthew Dubuc and Madonna have in common? They've both given offensive performances at Skydome. Come on, producer Corey, that's good. Matt played with the Argos with Doug Flutie, and I asked him one of his last appearances here. What do you remember about playing at Skydome? What was your most memorable? And he said catching a touchdown pass. How did this end up in a fight over golf? I don't get it. That's one thing with golf, but what don't you get? I'll be perfectly honest. This is one of the things I love the most about Flutie. Like in Dubuc, too. He didn't golf either. Like in Sask, all my friends golf. Come on out. I don't want to. Oh, come on out. It'll just be fun. How many different... Do you need another language? Like, what do you need? I'm not interested in golf. Stop it. I got hung up on my second point of the quiz. I didn't even get to the hockey yet. Oh, my God. Connor Bedard signed a 5-year, $75 million deal with the Chicago Blackhawks. I should mention that is our poll question today for EMJ Marketing Elite Speakers Bureau. Will the Chicago Blackhawks win a Stanley Cup in Connor Bedard's time? Well, I think Jason from Red Deer said it's 67% no. They will not win a Stanley Cup. On Instagram, it's like 100% no. Somebody wrote into my Twitter and said maybe a better question would be, will they even make the playoffs in Bedard? They've finished 31st the last 3, second last every year since Connor Bedard's been there. Oh, man. Two people who have never been in your kitchen, Matt Dubuc and Madonna. Matt, well, I've been in his kitchen, so no. A lot of people trying to get in my kitchen today. 902-518-3033. By the way, rep the show you love. Shop the Rod Pedersen Show store today at rodpedersen.com. Just click on RP Show Store. By the way, you can build hockey lanes in your house. Get Prairie Panels to do it. They have all the details at prairiepanels.ca. RP Show continues right after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. It's the RP Show. The viewers try to take this off-ramp to negative town, and I just pulled it right back. I'm not starting a Monday on that. And as we roll here with the alum of everything, the champion himself, Matt, Coach Dubuc. Don't you get me getting grumpy today, Coach. How's your mood on a Monday?
It's real hot here, Rod. That's all I can tell you. It's like an oven.
Yeah, you said you want to be here. You can get on a plane anytime and come up here with Canada. Your home and native land, Matt. When's the last time you were in Canada?
A long time ago. But I plan to get up there sooner than later.
Well, you're going to have reason to get up here lots, which we'll maybe talk about later today or another time. Listen, we'll get to the NFL. We'll get to some college stuff, too. I saw somebody say, it's football season now because the World Cup's over and NHL and NBA's behind us. I'm like, well, we got baseball and this Canadian Football League stuff. I said this earlier. I don't think you were watching. What did you do before you even knew me? Because we sit and text during all these games. Who did you write about CFL games before you knew me?
Nobody. I found a friend. I found a friend which has the same likes as I like, and we enjoy. We have good banter on those games.
Oh, it's so much. Yeah, we do every day. So I said to the viewers, even the U.S. ones, we're gonna be talking CFL with Dubuc, and you gotta tune into these games because here in Week 7, and I'll just list them off because there's only 4 games. Edmonton beat BC Friday night, 1917. Doubleheader Saturday. Montreal beat Calgary 38-32. Wild ending in Hamilton. The Ticats beat Toronto 24-23 in a missed field goal. And then Sunday night, 4 overtimes, Winnipeg beat Ottawa 36-34. Coach, there was something wacky in every game.
Well, I watched that whole game last night, and I was pulling for Jake Maier. I just wanted to have him get going, and because I think he's a good quarterback. We've had this discussion before. But you're on the 1 yard line, you don't get points. You throw a pick in the red zone or right there, you don't get points. And then you give up 2 drives at the end, and then they made it look way too easy for Winnipeg on the 2-point conversion. And you could just tell the wind was leaving the sails of the Red Blacks, and I feel bad for their coach because I've kind of been down that road once or twice, and it's not a good hole to be in, and it's hard to crawl out. I hope the organization doesn't go crazy making all these changes. I think he's a smart guy, and I think he'll get it going. It just, going to take time.
Yeah.
And I say Drew Brown got outplayed last night by Jake Maier. I think so. I don't think it was close.
Numbers won't say that, but just for those that don't know, Ottawa Red Blacks that Coach Dubuc's referencing 0-6. And they have a first-year coach and GM in Ryan Dinwiddie out of Boise State. He's a close friend of mine. I feel bad for him, too. But, both quarterbacks were over 300 yards, and there was a big story in that game that Drew Brown, Winnipeg's quarterback, had been traded away in June by Ottawa. You knew that he went in with a chip on his shoulder, Coach. But I can't see them making changes. This is year 1 of a new regime. My God, I hope they don't.
Well, if you look at Twitter and you look at these other sites, that's what immediately is supposed to happen, and it should not happen. You have to have a steady hand today. They're the worst drawing team in the league, 14,000. But it looks like there's construction going on over there, and it's a really nice venue. They'll get it going, and Dinwiddie will get it going. And Jake Maier is a good quarterback. I think he's a good game manager. But look at the quarterback. Look at the quarterback in Saskatchewan. He's a game manager, but he makes plays. And
he's 40 years
I
old
think
and he's the reigning champ.
Right. Again, but you look at Davis Alexander, wow. Like, he's a wow guy. I mean, you look at the way that guy plays, he's the best player in the league, I think. But there's really good quarterbacks too. VA's played really good this year. But it's 1/4 of the way through, or a little bit more than that, and it's not over.
Take us inside the game, please, for the viewers, because that's what they love about this show, and there's not a lot of shows that do it. The reason I bring this up is Ryan Dinwiddie, the guy we're talking about, coach and GM of Ottawa, 0-6. They're going into a bye. And I think one of the reporters said to him last night after the game, what are you going to do during the bye? He says, we're going to go back and go through every game, every play, evaluate everybody, what we could do better. And I'm sure the fans are going, that seems awfully tedious. Can you explain what you would do in this position and what you think they're going to do to try and turn this thing around at 0-6?
Well, I don't think they run the football particularly well. They got Bell going a little bit in the second half, but I think they need to be better up front, number one. So I would be working the phones, looking for offensive linemen that can come in and plug and play. That's number one thing I would do. Defensively, let's go back and talk about number 9 last night. 2 picks in his hands. If he catches either one of those picks, they win. So, again, you can take all the heat off of Jake Mayer by just intercepting one ball late in the game. 2 of them. He had 2 opportunities. But everybody wants to blame Jake Mayer or blame the coach. Players play, coaches coach. We put them in position to make plays. Now, at your level, the professional level, then you got to start replacing some of the players. Or if the coach isn't working, then you got to replace one of the coaches or 2, whatever. That's where I think he said the evaluation process starts. You have to look in the mirror first, and then you go on. But it's just a shame, because I think Ottawa's just struggled for so long. They got the franchise back, but I'd like to see them win. I really would.
Well, so would I. But you are you're alum of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Toronto Argonauts. And where I have a problem with the fans and some of these teams that have multiple owners or community boards that have no clue what they're doing. I hate to say it, but you were part of the drought, the 29-year drought of Winnipeg. You were there during the 29 years. It wasn't Mike O'Shea's fault, the crimes of the past 29 years, till they finally won. My point is Ryan Dinwiddie shouldn't be carrying the sins of the last how many regimes through there? Yet they don't see it that way.
Well, you're talking about a fan base. Look, we're Dolphin fans. Here's your NFL talk. I was with Adam Gase yesterday on Saturday, and we were talking about Mike. He's working for Mike McDaniel now in L.A., and they're just talking about how they couldn't get it going. Either one of them could really get it going with the Dolphins. I think you need to change your franchise. You need that quarterback. You need that generational quarterback, that Troy Aikman, that Dan Marino, that Davis Alexander in Montreal. They're not going anywhere as long as that guy's playing. And I think he's going to play in the NFL. I think he has put himself in a position. He's dynamic and gritty, and there's not a lot of those guys in the NFL right now. They're all robots.
He's also 5'9", which was Flutie, was as well, but that is so.
He's only 5'9".
He's not that big. I mean, I'll look it up.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Does that make a difference?
Even in our game in high school, I mean, if you can't see over the line, and it's a problem. If you're a throwing team, I can go back to the days when I learned the air raid offense from Mike Leach. The 3-foot splits that nobody wants to do anymore did. The 3-foot splits up front were put in to give the quarterback more visualization, more windows, and widen the rushers. We did that when I installed the offense, but every O-line coach you hire wants to, pin it down, bring it down. So those are all the things within the game that, the sharp eye sees and the dull eye doesn't.
Well, Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes that he says it's hard finding that generational quarterback. And trust me, I'm not done on the CFL talk yet at all, but I just look very tough. Las Vegas doesn't know if Fernando Mendoza is that guy. We all think that he is, but we don't know. He's got they have the pick of the litter. You never know. How do you know, Coach? You don't.
Hey, look at Johnny Manziel. Right. I mean, was one of the best college quarterbacks ever, and couldn't get it done in the NFL. But that was also the way he prepared, and his lifestyle wasn't conducive to being a quarterback. You don't know, and sometimes it's the flip of a coin. Until the bullets really start flying out there, you never really know. But some guys that are have done it, you do know.
Jeff the Stamps fan says Davis Alexander is 6 foot. It's not that I don't trust Jeff the Stamps fan. I'm going to look it up right now, out of Portland State. Yeah, it says 6 foot. Google says it, so it must be true. But anyways, back to this, why we love the Canadian Football League so much. And you're welcome, CFL, for the free advertising here. And for the U.S. viewers, you can tune in on CBS Sports Network or CFL Plus. Coach, there's 10 minutes left in the game last night. Winnipeg was up 2 touchdowns. I'm like, I can't, or whatever it was. Somebody was up 2 touchdowns. I'm like, I can't turn this off. Yeah, they were down 2 touchdowns, whatever. I'm like, I can't turn this off. And it goes to quadruple overtime. In the NFL, you're shutting the TV off. It's largely over. Why is the difference so vast between the 2 pro leagues that way?
Well, it's if you don't get the kickoff, you get the ball on the 40-yard line. So you need basically 30 yards to get in field goal range. So there's always a chance for points, I would say. And I got to tell you the other thing, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feeling on the rule changes, but I think the post in the front is awesome, and I think the missed kick return is the most exciting part of the game. I'm going to hate seeing that go. I really am.
Well, again, you got to be a pretty hardcore football fan to know what Coach Dubuc's talking about. But in the CFL for 100 years, our goalpost has been at the goal line, and beginning next year, they're moving it out the back of the end zone. And I don't really know why. And that's got, like, we just got the damn Rouge discussed and the overtime change. And now you're going to bring up the goalpost. I mean, I don't mind talking about it, but you see have you noticed how upset people are in this country about the changes?
Yeah. And again, I for every idea, there's got to be some reason. And if it's to add more teams or add more U.S. teams or whatever, that would be the only logical reason why they're making the field changes. Because that return of the kick, when you have a bunch of offensive linemen trotting down the field that can't really cover, and then you have some of these dynamic guys that make a team because of that play, that particular play, like Alford and guys like that, you're not going to need those guys anymore. Which, I don't know, that stinks. To me, as a Canadian Football League fan, I just love it. I just love when the kick is missed and that guy's going to pull it out, or he's going to give up a point, give up a single. That has ramifications in games too. Every point counts.
So, whoa. The Hamilton-Toronto. So I was going into the Hall of Fame Saturday night, which I don't recall congratulating. Okay, finally he says it. And you're texting me about the Hamilton-Toronto game, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not watching. I'm at this thing. So under the old rules, Toronto misses the field goal. Liam Haralahu, but they would have got a point. They would have been going to overtime. They changed the rules, and you don't get a point for missing a field goal anymore. So the game's over. How do you feel about that change? Because some are for it, some are against it.
I think that one's fair. I do think, if you miss the kick and you don't bring it out, and I was involved in a game one year in Winnipeg where I was the guy in the back of the end zone and I had to get the ball out. So, we didn't lose the game. And, it's a 20-yard end zone. So you got to go 20 yards. You got people barreling down and you got to cross the goal line to get it out of there. How exciting is that as a fan to sit there and watch that? It doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, and then you get some of these dynamic returners in the league, and next thing you know, they go 120 yards. I mean, that's what makes the CFL awesome. Everybody can play pitch and catch, run the football, but some of those rules that they're going to take away, I think, is going to hurt some of those exciting plays.
Bill, the Argo fan, says, well said, Coach. Every point counts. Ken in Mississauga says, has the quarterback always been as important as now? And we'll answer that in a second. Your sons asked me where they could find film of your games. And I said, guys, I think it's in the Smithsonian. And it's on black and white. You got to go back a long way.
Not old Rod.
Yeah.
Not
I
that
told
old.
that joke at your team orientation that night, and nobody laughed except your offensive coordinator. He goes, I thought it was funny. I made a joke about how. Huh?
I don't even tell them I played pro football anymore. I mean, I've got to the point now it doesn't matter to me.
Well, your boys, I don't know if they're planning something. You already had your 50th, but we need to get a hold of some of Dad's game film. I'm like, I don't know where the hell you'd find that, but I'll try and dig it up. Anyways, Ken from Mississauga says, has the quarterback always been as important as now? How would you answer that?
I would, yeah, well, of course. I mean, the major rules haven't changed. This is still a 2-down, 3-down league. You got to get 10 yards in 2 plays, and 80% of the time, 70% of the time, you got to throw it. Maybe when the U.S. teams were there, where you had Mike Pringle in Baltimore, I knew they ran it a lot. We had a really good running game in Toronto in '97. So, yeah, I think if you can marry the two, I think you have something special.
Is that Robert Drummond?
Yes. You want to marry those two, and you want to have both. But, for me, I love throwing the football, and but I recognize you'll do whatever it takes to win the game or get first down. So whether you run it or throw it, it really doesn't matter. But, yes, the quarterback is the most important position, I think, over the last 25, 30 years.
The fans are just salivating. Vancouver Eric writes in. He says, how much time are these backups getting in practice, Coach?
Well, in the CFL, basically, with your roster being limited, you're running scout teams, so you don't get a lot of the first team reps if you're the backup quarterback. Mike Vanderjagt used to be a scout team quarterback in Toronto when Andre Ware didn't want to do it, and we let him do it because he had fun doing it. But yeah, the backup quarterback does not get a ton of first team reps or with the first unit, so that's a problem, because the rosters are limited.
Yeah, there's also many, many, many great stories of where a second or third string quarterbacks come off the bench and had great success with a second or third string receiver. And everybody's like, how did that happen? Because they've been practicing together on scout team for months, right? It's a chemistry thing.
Yeah, the practice roster in the NFL, I think those guys get like $12,000 a week, which is pretty good money. But yeah, you're running the other team's plays. You don't get to run the plays that are going to be played on Sunday or whatever night of the week is in Canada. At Texas, they have 120 guys on the roster, or 105. So you can split practice up. You can have a scout team and so on and so forth. So your second and third tier guys are seeing the plays being run, or they're getting a few reps here and there. But in the professional football, even in the NFL, some of your guys are having to do both. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
We got to bring you back, continue this. Ken and Mississauga, about the importance of quarterbacks. You played in that really was the golden era of the CFL in a lot of ways. Every team had $1 million quarterback in the 90s. Everybody but us in Sask. That's why Ken Austin left. We couldn't pay him, but you guys had Flutie. Dunnigan was in Birmingham. Damn. Hey, guys, Dunnigan in Memphis. All the young hockey players are here bugging me. Remember that, Coach? I don't know. Some say they need to go back to that. One marquee player getting $1 million a year.
I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, Arch Manning's making $7 million. Well, listen, they also sell the tickets too. People are coming to watch Arch Manning at Texas and put in 102,000 people at every home game. They're not doing it for a no-name guy. And you can say that in any organization, but the organization also has to push the quarterback through too. They got to make him the star player.
Very, very, very good point. Okay, well, that's the end of our time. Listen, stay. Have you mowed the lawn since you lost 10 pounds the last time mowing? It's not raining down there, I heard. So the grass probably isn't growing.
I got to tell you, it's hot. It's very little rain. We start practice officially next Monday. So I'm just looking forward to getting back to football, being done with the workout. So appreciate it, Rod. Congratulations again.
Thank you, Coach.
Keep up the good work.
Appreciate you. You too. I'll be happy to be at Matt Dubuc's Hall of Fame induction because that's happening. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
for a night of rock with the Gene Simmons Band.
You know your man is working hard. He's worth the team.
Saturday, December 5th, Temple Garden Center. The Gene Simmons Band performing your favorite classic hits. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca. Don't miss the Gene Simmons Band.
Get ready to make unforgettable memories with your little ones at Elmo's Got the Moves, the all-new Sesame Street live show coming to your neighborhood. Friday, December 4th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at SaskTix.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world! Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world! Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Having a great day on the RP Show, brand new week. Great chat with Coach Dubuc. Looking forward to getting back with him when I head back to Florida in 5 weeks' time. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, what Hall of Fame did you get into, Rod? I haven't talked about it a lot. It's that radio station that I was at, CKRM. They are celebrating their 100 years on air, similar to the Grand Ole Opry is this year. And so they had recognized 9 what they call icons on Saturday night. They had it, and it's basically a Hall of Fame. It's the way that they did it. So we've been having fun with that, and the viewers have been writing in about that, and meant a lot to me, and it's great, and it's now behind me, and we can all move forward. How about that? But it was nice. I spent a lot of hours on that station. 902-518-3033 is the text line. Well, thank you, David, on this. Writes in, he says, Rod, like you, I don't live in the past. You can't go back, and even if you could, you would probably just make different mistakes. Live for today, plan for tomorrow, and learn from yesterday. I would do it all again. I'd do it all again. To be honest, I talked to Dunnigan about that. We were talking about, this is the Canadian Football League Hall of Famer from Dallas, Texas, the former Valdosta Peach, as I called him. We were talking about his concussions and things that he took, hard hits he took as a player. And I said, yeah, but would you do it again? Yes. They all say yes. Kirk in Toronto writes, and he says, Dubuc just echoed what I texted earlier. Have a nice day. But he also said, you were rude about it, Kirk. Dubuc wasn't. There's a difference. Vintage Sasko writes in 902-518-3033, says, hey, Rod, congrats on the CKRM icon honor. Rather than, listen, they do it, everything's different here. Everything's different. So Hall of Famers, they call them icons. It's like our Plaza of Honor. They couldn't call it the Hall of Fame for the football team. It's the Plaza of Honor. They do everything different here. It's like a parallel world, but it's great. He says, and by the way, the guy who is the voice of the football team now, his name is Dave Thomas, and he welcomed me into this. So Vintage Sasko says, I'm still wondering why Dave Thomas didn't give you a Frosty and a square hamburger on stage. Signed, Sasko. Founder of Wendy's, Dave Thomas. You're well behind on that joke, but yeah. Actual sports. Shohei Ohtani has been removed from the Dodgers rotation indefinitely as he continues dealing with knee irritation. The MVP frontrunner will remain in the lineup, but it's going to be some time before he coaches again, says manager Dave Roberts. I feel like I need to come back on this, but even Yahoo.com slipped this into their sports update. Blackhawks star Connor Bedard signed a 5-year, $75 million extension that makes him the third highest paid player in NHL history by annual average value. $15 million per season. The 21-year-old has been Chicago's leading scorer in each of his first 3 seasons in the league. Could tell you how, speaking of living in the past, tells you how long we've been on the air. We had Connor Bedard on this show when he was 14. I posted some clips of it to my Cats and Bolts Instagram show, the Panthers show that we do. Mercedes Kimi Antonelli won Sunday's Belgian Grand Prix for his 6th victory of the season, extending his lead atop the Formula One standings to 45 points through 10 races. From the NBA, the Thunder are trading defensive stopper Lou Dort and guard Ryan Nembhard to the Hawks in a 3-team trade with the Mavericks. Former number 1 pick Zachary Rissaker is heading to Dallas, while OKC will receive 3 second-round picks. That's why I say, I was talking to a guy. Oh, it was one of the other Icon's kids. It was Paul Harrison, big-time college fan. And he was like, what's the closest college football team to where you live? And I said, well, FAU Owls, but I'm not that far off the Miami Hurricanes. And his eyes just glazed. Oh, college football. I'm not really into anything else. Here we're into everything. We just like some more than others. Sports Update is brought to you by the Ultimate Fan Zone. Don't just watch the game. Live it and get your gear at Ultimate Fan Zone today. Jerseys, cards, collectibles too. Check them all out at ultimatefanzone.ca. One more segment today, and it's coming up next. This is your last chance to get your comments in. 902-518-3033. I would have loved to have talked even more about the Connor Bedard thing, and maybe we will coming up in overtime. It is finally whatever you want to talk about, but not golf. We'll be right back. It's the RP Show on Silver State Sports, Game Plus streaming podcast on WQVZ Radio.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Okay. Texting with Scruffy here. Details emerging in the story we've been talking about a couple of times today. The death of the pro football player Jaden Delkey Saturday night, killed in a head-on crash. We talked about it enough. You'll hear the details over the next 24 hours and maybe longer than that. So a lot of you just been sitting at... Oh, Overtime is the sponsor of the Overtime segment. I talked to Randy this morning at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We're going to be going out there for a live show. I have to do it. I promised him every summer when I come home, I'm going to go to Calgary. Summer time's running out. So we've found a date, I believe, and I'm not going to say what it is today, but it'll be in August. So be watching for that. Overtime Hockey Lanes. If you want to come on down and see the show, that should be fun. So anyways, were you just sitting, everybody just sitting back? I said, any final comments you have, write them in now. Stuff from way back. People are writing it. Scott in Vancouver writes in. He goes, thanks for the reminder of Michael Sam. I had forgotten. So coming up Thursday, NFL and CFL alum Jorgen Hughes, close friend of mine, was the longest-serving Rough Rider until he retired this offseason. Played in St. Louis, I said, when Michael Sam was there. He was the first, I believe, openly gay player in the NFL. And Scott says, the thing I wonder about Sam is he should have been a 7th-round pick, or was that based on something else? Whatever. I know what you're getting at. He came up to the CFL, and he wasn't much in the CFL. Jim Pop signed him with the Alouettes. I remember he was playing in Montreal, and he was lost on the field. And I think he was lost on the field in St. Louis. But I'm not even going to bring that up with Hughes when he joins us Thursday. I just use it as a reference point. That was when he was with the St. Louis Rams. But I brought it up, so it's not anybody's fault. Jaime writes in when I said, well, you guys just sitting back waiting for the last segment to jump, which is fine. That's what I asked you to do. Or is it Jaime? Jaime Garcia writes in, he says, for participation, soccer is the biggest sport. At the recreational level, at least in urban centers, most kids play it. Inexpensive and short seasons. In terms of pro sports entertainment, no chance. That's kind of what I was saying. I'm like, way back. That's what I'm saying. You just wrote in now. I was talking about that earlier. I'm like, I'm trying to go along with it, trying to be open-minded. I went and had a World Cup meal at McDonald's, which frankly, as much as I'm ready for the World Cup to be over, I'm not ready for World Cup meals to go away. Mind you, could go just order one. But Tim Hortons, Canada's national coffee chain, they've got special Tim Hortons Timbits in World Cup flavors. The Brazil one is the honey cruller infused with key lime pie filling. Like I said, Jesus made that. And then the Canada, what was that candy when we were kids, Corey, producer Corey, that you put on the bottle rockets, it would pop on your tongue? Pop, 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 pop. Oh, yeah, well, they made Timbits out of those. Go get them before they're gone. They rolled the Timbit. For those that don't know in the state, they're donut holes. They rolled them in syrup and rolled them in those. What'd you call them? What'd you say? Dunkin'? No. Oh, sure. That's what they are. Dunkin' calls them munchkins, right? Donut holes. Anyways, they rolled them in syrup and then rolled them in that pop, 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 pop. When I tell you, it's heaven in your mouth. That's the Team Canada one. They got Brazil. I don't even know what the other countries are because I got stopped on Brazil and Canada. There's a cappuccino one. Ken in Mississauga writes, he says, I remember when the Pro Bowlers tour in America was a big thing on TV. How on earth did that come up? Did you see Lonnie Wallachek bowling? First thing he said. And it's dangerous, by the way. I can see why some of the teams I've been with or some of the administrators were worried about me because people tell me stuff. Some of the dads were in town one day of the Millers baseball team, and I'm getting all the inside stuff. One was from Lonnie Wallachek from Wichita, Kansas. He's telling me all this stuff about inside team stuff that I probably should know. Nothing nefarious, like our big star, Weston Walls, got an offer from a pro team that tried to poach him in the middle of the season. He's going to lead us to a championship, but inside team stuff. He turned it down because Weston Walls from Terrell, Texas is that kind of kid. He stood right here, and I asked him about it a couple days later, and he goes, I signed with the Millers, and I came here to win. I'm not walking out on this team. And you wonder why I love Weston Walls and these players. But anyways, Lonnie Wallachek was the guy that told me that. And Lonnie, first thing out of his mouth was when we went to the ranch that day for the team building thing. The dads were there too. And he's like, don't call me the GOAT of the PB. I won 2 tournaments. I'm like, well, that's a pretty big deal to me. Did you know golf, bowling's like golf. They have tournaments every weekend. It's pretty cool. David number 1 writes in and says, Pop Rocks. Right. That's what it was. Timbits rolled in syrup and then rolled in Pop Rocks. There you go. Oh, my God. Utah Darren, where have you been all day? He writes in, he says, Kelsey on that 70s show said he wanted to give a baby Pop Rocks. LOL. Oh, give it to a baby. I see. That wouldn't be good. You'd get arrested for that. Brent in the Bridge City writes in, he says, congratulations on your honors over the weekend. Any thoughts about the passing of Dwayne Ward? Thanks and have a blessed day. To be honest, I've been so enveloped in the passing of Jaden Dahlke. I mean, I've done a couple of events with Dwayne Ward. He's a super guy. I stood out front of the Turvey Center with him after he was done speaking. Just take those old school pictures, man. They were men. Dwayne Ward was one of the first guys when I realized when I started doing baseball stuff years ago in terms of events, I'm like, these are massive human beings. Baseball players don't get the credit for their size, and Ward's one of them. Our Miller guys are pretty big, too. Oh, man, we started something with the Pop Rocks, which it is what it is. It's all good. Scruffy will be here tomorrow, and Lou Gamelin from the Michigan. We're going to get to the bottom of the Iserman thing and more. So that'll be good. See you tomorrow, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
That